Okay, so here's my cycle. And this is how John Bowlby and other writers have described this cycle of attachment. So it begins here at the top with a child having a need. Yeah, so a child has a need. So for babies it might be, they wet themselves, or they poo themselves, or they're hungry or something like that. For older children it may be more sophisticated things. They need comfort, or they need attention, or they need somebody to come and rescue them from some sort of situation. The attachment cycle continues throughout our childhood, probably throughout our lives actually. So according to Bowlby, the next stage is that the child feels some kind of discomfort. Obviously, for babies, we can imagine the discomfort they may feel if they're hungry, or their nappy's soiled, or they have a tummy ache. For older children, it may be a different kind of discomfort, an embarrassment or an anxiety or something of that nature. And then here we have a signal from the child. So the baby with the wet nappy, what would be the signal?
Crying.
Yeah. So the earliest way in which we often communicate, providing we are able to articulate our needs in that way, is through crying. And this then should stimulate in the parent, according to this cycle, a need. So down here we have parent needs. We need to respond to that signal. If the attachment cycle is working well, then the parent or the carer then feels a need. Now we know that's not always the case. In the story which you may have seen on Monday, the Bristol Social Services, some of Toby's needs did seem to be met, particularly his mother seemed to be quite sensitive to his needs. But if you watched the sequence where Toby, I think, was playing in a room in the Social Services Centre, and his dad was there, his dad wasn't very good at responding to Toby, was he? In fact, his dad was playing with the toys and Toby was playing with the toys. So it looked more like 2 3-year-olds in a room playing separately than a dad and a child playing. So for some parents, they don't feel that need. Something is stopping them from feeling that need. And they may be the kinds of families perhaps that you will be helping to work with, or they certainly the types of families who may need their children to be looked after by foster carers for a short while or longer. Some of the things that can stop a parent experiencing a need are that they are preoccupied perhaps with their own problems and their own troubles. Okay, it may be that mental illness is preventing the parent from experiencing a need. It may be that issues with substance abuse are stopping them from experiencing that need. Or it might be something in their own upbringing which means that they haven't learned to respond to needs in that way. So this is a crucial part of the attachment cycle. The parent, I've put parent there, but I could have put carer. They feel a need. And then over here, they take action. Change the nappy, rub tummy, talk, touch, coo, go over, start playing with the 3-year-old, whatever, they take action. So based on a need to respond, they have responded, they've taken action, there's an outcome then. And then again the child signals. So the nappy gets changed, baby goes quiet for a while. It seemed to work. Maybe it doesn't work. So you get another signal, another cry. Obviously it wasn't a nappy. So we're off again, rubbing the tummy, see if that works. That doesn't work, maybe something else. So this is a continual process, and for babies this will be going on hundreds of times a day probably, but it's a process that goes on throughout our childhood when things are working well. This is called the attachment cycle, developed by John Bowlby but refined by other writers since. It expresses in quite graphic form the relationship between a child expressing their need and a parent responding to that need, a parent or a carer.